and I'm here with Lauren from Bassnectar, and he's in town for a show he did last night. Where were you at?
Irving Plaza.
At Irving Plaza. Cool. And how did that go?
It was a smash out. It was absolutely bonkers.
Cool. And now you have a new album, relatively new album out.
Someone called it Causa Friendly last night, but it's actually Causa Frenzy, meaning like to stir people into a state of being ape and buck wild. Causa Frenzy.
Talk about the production of the album. I assume you did it all yourself, pretty much.
Yeah, well, you know, everything for me is a collaboration, even if it's just being influenced by something.
You have your own studio, I assume.
Yeah, but if I have a laptop, that's all I need. Obviously, to mix down, I have to have speakers.
Right.
I can't stand doing it in headphones.
Right. Right.
Yes, it's just computer based for me.
Yeah. So what do you using Ableton Live as your main DAW, or?
On this record, to finish it, yes. But I started in 1995 with, I think it was called Vision.
Oh, sure, yeah, Opcode, yeah.
Yeah, and I was at UCSC doing the electronic music minor program, and so they had, you know, big wall-sized emus with patch cords and lots of like tapes and stuff. And
right.
To this day, I still have a lot of that content recorded onto DAT, so I'm sampling a lot of stuff that, you know, has been collected over the last 15 years. So I kind of moved in. I was on PC for a long time, and working with SoundForge as kind of like an editing for both pre and post production, and then making my tracks in Cubase and Reason.
Okay.
And just fell in love with Reason because it was so instantaneous. It's just so quick to manifest a song. And then after a while, I was like, every one of my songs sounds the same. And all my friends said it too. They're like, this is a Reason song. So I just need to expand. And my friend, he goes by Ilgates. He does a lot with Ableton, and he helped me build a template that was able to just kind of feature all the different soft synths that I had and plugins, and I have over 50 gigabytes of samples. So it was just kind of like a parade through my sample banks.
Take me through like a typical production of a song for you from start to finish. What you know?
There's really no typical approach. It's a smorgasbord. You know, I have this thing happen in dreams, not very often, but where in my dream I'm producing, or even in a car and I'm listening to something, and then I lucidly kind of snap awake in the dream and realize I'm dreaming and I've never heard this before, and so my brain must be inventing it. It's kind of the coolest music I've ever experienced in my life, because you're dreaming it.
And can you remember it and like?
Well, if I wake myself up, I call the phone and on my little voicemail, and I'll like hum it in.
Tell me about your synthesizers.
I about a year ago got really into albino, which. Okay, so there's this kind of technique that drum and bass did a lot of, and New School Breaks did a lot of, which is basically just modulating a sawtooth and getting that womp womp.
Yeah.
People call it wobble or whatever. It's been around a long time, and it no longer is as dirty as it used to feel. When I first was hearing that, it was like you just made that bass, and like my friend says, your lip and your nose kind of joined into one thing. And now, what I find, there's two other ways of making that kind of, it's gross.
Yeah.
And it's either really sloppy quantization, where, the shaker is shuffled and the snare is slightly delayed, and maybe the synth is on another time structure, and it's just all kind of syncopated and weird. And that gives you that, like, ooh, nasty.
But yet it still has a groove.
Yeah, yeah.
In the song Window Seat, kind of at the end, there was like a whole bunch of synth stuff happening. There was sort of a high kind of thing, and then there was also like a real raw kind of analog sounding synth. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, that song, more than pretty much anything on the record, is kind of the Bassnectar formula.
Okay.
That I was actually semi-ashamed to release, because a lot of my friends who have known me for a long time musically were like, what are you doing? It sounds like all your old like the same thing. And I'm just a sucker for it. I love the lush stacking of tinkly, Future Sound of London, Orb era. When I guess it was the first kind of like when rave music was becoming listenable too, and so you'd have these alternative bands or alternative, down-tempo or ambient, but it was still thick. So finding a way to sample those old 90s synths, but then give it a lot of force. So that's what Window Seat is. There's a couple loops of laughter, and I think most of that was done in Reason.
Another cool song was Turn of the Century, and you had kind of like a horn thing, must have been sampled from somewhere
right
on the intro. What was that?
Someone had contacted me, his name was Philip, about doing like a French vaudeville circus remix, and he sent me all these links to this public domain website where you could just snatch the audio and whatever. So I was going through that trying to find a good vaudeville sample, and I found these old horns from the turn of the century, the early 1900s type of records. But the sample was atrocious, like unfixable.
Yeah.
So I just brought in my friend Downtown Chris Brown from Oakland, who is a horn player, and he just played all the different horn parts.
Let's talk a little bit about the mixing. Obviously pretty hefty bottom end on most of this stuff.
Yeah.
What do you mix? Did you mix it yourself?
Yeah.
And what were you mixing on?
I have Mackie HR824s, and I used to have a little music studio that I mix in. Now I'm just in my house, and it's terrible audio. When my friends come over, they're always like, "Oh, let me EQ this for you just to get it more realistic," but I know it so well.
Right.
I basically start off with the kick and the snare, and I bring up the volume as loud as my ears can take it so that the kick is just punching in my chest, and I focus on around 110, 125 hertz, and then the snare is like, I just feel like in the hairs of my ear that it's in the right place. Next comes the hat so that it's got that type of brightness, and then the next is a sub. And I'll mix the entire song like that, and then start with everything else at 0 and bring them up just to as quiet as I can keep them, kind of.
Anyway, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the album. Are you going to be touring for a while, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or is that all you do, basically?
It's all I do, pretty much.
Good luck with it. Thanks a lot. All right.